Welcome back to day 5 of the Marvel Movie Marathon. Today we're looking at our first sequel, Iron Man 2. This movie has a lot of problems, let me tell you. Before it came out, the anticipation for this sequel was high because Iron Man was such a really big success. So we didn't think they would drop the ball. We thought all the pieces were in place to make this like a bona fide sequel. Sam Jackson as Nick Fury was coming back. They were going to introduce Black Widow. And they had Mickey Rourke, who was fresh off The Wrestler and the success from that movie. So, what could go wrong? Well, it turns out a lot could go wrong. But first, let me see if I can summarize the story for you. So, after Iron Man, the government wants Tony Stark's suit and tech, but he doesn't want to give it to them. But it turns out he's being poisoned by the arc reactor. But also, you got a Russian bad guy whose father used to work with Howard Stark. Howard Stark screwed him over, so now he wants revenge. He's gonna get that by making his own arc reactor and a pair of electric jump ropes to kill Tony Stark because somehow that's gonna make him feel better, I guess, even though Tony Stark had nothing to do with what Howard Stark did to his father. Because that makes sense. And then on top of that, Nick Fury is evaluating Tony to see if he can be a active member of the Avengers or if he's too crazy and delusional to become one. And on top of that, you got Rody who takes Tony's armor to make it into a war machine, who's also presenting for a rival company, Hammer Tech, who wants to just make Tony look bad. Listen, like, if I lost you, I don't blame you because this movie's like all over the place. It wants to tackle all these different things while introducing new heroes, and it wants to have two bad guys, but it doesn't know which one to focus on, and it's ridiculous. But before I tear into it, let me start off with the good. I love the scene in Monaco. It's a pretty cool scene, especially the suitcase armor where it just kicks in and it goes. That's cool. And then Black Widow at the end when she's kicking ass. It's a great introduction to her character and skill set. In an instant, you know what she's capable of. And I love Scarlett Johansson in the role. She's a great actress. That's pretty much it for the good. This movie, man, I don't know. I think originally they wanted to do the Demon in the Bottle storyline where Tony's an alcoholic and he's suffering from that, but this was the year after Disney bought Marvel, so Disney stepped in and was like, no, we can't go too dark, we gotta do it for the kids. We gotta stay family friendly, PG. So instead of alcoholism, he's dealing with the arc reactor poisoning his blood, which causes him to do a lot of crazy things like fight his best friend at a birthday party or drive a race car in that Monaco scene. He's just going nuts because he thinks he's gonna die. That's his main motivation for being a dick in this movie. And he forces the CEO position on Pepper Potts, which is a lot of freaking stress, man. Like, how you just gonna force it on someone? You should have asked first, but he's like, no, you do it. Like, I can't be bothered with this anymore. You do it. And it's a trash move. And then you got Rody, who was played by Terrence Howard in the first movie. Me personally, I like Terrence Howard better as an actor. No shade to Don Cheadle, he's great too. But Terrence Howard to me has better screen presence than he does. But at the same time, Rhodey doesn't get much to do besides steal Tony's armor and turn into War Machine. And even that is kind of like lackluster. And I also don't understand the motivation behind that because if you're his best friend, why would you steal his armor? He spent the beginning of the movie trying to keep it away out of the government's hands, and he ends up taking it to the Air Force. So it's like, what the hell is the motivation behind that? So in a sense, maybe it's best that Terrence Howard didn't continue in the role. What if he was still here? We might have not gotten Empire, and a lot of people like Empire. So I think the studio needed a yes man, And Don Cheadle's more of a yes man. Terrence Howard is just a big personality. He wanted more money for the sequel. Instead, they told him to take a pay cut. So I totally get his reasons for leaving. And, I'm not holding a grudge against him. But Don Cheadle is fine in the role. I just wish they gave him more to do. And that's a problem with all these movies, unfortunately. He's just kind of in the background doing a thing. I don't get a sense of what his personality is. I want to like him. I really do. And I also don't see these guys as best friends. I don't get that vibe at all. Because Rody's always cleaning up Tony's mess. Like, who would want to be friends with someone like that? But then you got the villain. Mickey Rourke was completely wasted in this role as the evil jump rope man. He had potential to be a really good foil to Tony, but they just wasted him. He had a great introduction scene at the raceway, and then they just lock him away till the end of the movie. And then he shows up in a stupid robot costume for like 2 seconds and gets killed. It is extremely underwhelming for an actor of that caliber. It's like, come on, guys. I think what they should have focused on one villain, because you also have Justin Hammer, played by Sam Rockwell, who's pretty great in the role. But again, he doesn't really do much besides, yell at people or try to outsnark Tony. I think they should have just picked a villain, either Justin or Whiplash, and gone with that. Splitting the screen time between them definitely did a disservice to both of them. And then, on top of that, you have the arc reactor killing Tony subplot, which Nick Fury kind of just like comes in and says, hey, you know what? Here's a shot. This will take the edge off. So what I need you to do is you need to look at this freaking diorama your father made in the 60s because it holds the key to what's killing you. So this basically leads to the worst scene in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Tony Stark takes a diorama from the 1960s, uses holographic technology to discover a new element to power his arc reactor, and the worst part is, it is never, ever mentioned again in the entire series. It's no biggie, I just discovered a new element on the periodic table. It's all good, I do this every day. Like it's nothing. How the hell did Howard Stark think that Tony was gonna discover this element in this freaking diorama? It makes no sense at all. It's like if he put the components in there, let's say he put the components in there, what was stopping him from creating the element himself? Was it the technology? Did he need better technology to actually create it? It's badly explained, and every time I watch the movie I just have to roll my eyes because it makes no sense. It's so stupid. And the action in this movie sucks, besides the Monaco scene. It's just either Iron Man fighting Rhodey at his birthday party, or it's Iron Man and Rhodey fighting a bunch of, robots. It's really dull and boring. And that's my biggest complaint with this movie. The second act, it drags. It drags hard. Like, once that Monaco scene is over, the movie just hits the brakes, and you're just waiting for something to happen. Just anything. That's why I think it would have been more interesting to see Tony as an alcoholic, because we could have got some real drama. Real drama between him and Pepper Potts, him and Rhodey, and then Natasha Romanoff, who's introduced in this movie as Black Widow. That would have gave her motivation to call in Nick Fury to put his ass in check. Overall, Iron Man 2 is just a huge waste of potential. They really needed more time to work things out. I heard the director was rushed into making this movie. So, this is what we got. Luckily, they rebounded with the third one. Anyway, I'm glad that's over. Now we can move on to better things. The post-credit scene has Coulson finding Thor's hammer in New Mexico, so we'll get to see what that's all about tomorrow in the Marvel Movie Marathon. Thank you for watching.